Hello, it's Professor Asma Parveen from Department of Psychology, Aligarh Muslim University. In previous lecture, I have discussed one technique of random sampling, that is simple random technique, and today I will be continuing with the applications of simple random sampling technique. Simple random sampling is a widely used method in various research fields to gather information about people's preferences, behaviors, and characteristics. In case of market research, we also use simple random technique, and it ensures fairness and unbiased insights into the target market or the population being studied. For example, if researchers want to study market, they employ simple random sampling to collect data on preferences of the consumers, their actions and demographics. By randomly selecting individuals from a specific group of interest, such as customers who purchase a particular product or visitors to a website. Researchers can include every potential customer in surveys, interviews, or focus groups. This approach provides valuable insights into the target market. Next application of simple random technique is in clinical trials. Clinical trials are important part of medical research as they help evaluate the effectiveness and safety of new treatments. To ensure fairness and accuracy, patients who meet specific criteria are randomly assigned to different treatment groups. This means that some patients receive the experimental treatment while others receive the standard care. By using simple random sampling, researchers can minimize bias and draw valid conclusions about the effects of the intervention and any potential benefits or risk. Similarly, public opinion polling also relies on simple random sampling to accurately represent the views of the entire population. Polling organizations use this method to conduct surveys on political opinions, social issues, and other topics that the public cares about. By randomly selecting individuals from a larger population, such as registered voters or residents of a specific area, pollsters can obtain results that reflect the opinions of the whole population. These surveys findings assist policymakers, media outlets, and others in making informed decisions based on public sentiment. Random sampling is also used in the field of education. In the field of education, researchers also use this technique to study various aspects of student learning and academic achievement. For example, if a researcher wants to assess the effectiveness of a teaching method, they may randomly select schools or classrooms from a larger group, such as all the schools in a district. Within those selected schools, students are then randomly chosen to participate in this study. This approach ensures that the sample of student is representative of the entire student population and reduces the chances of biased study results. Environmental researchers also use simple random sampling to collect samples for analysis. This involves randomly selecting locations or times to gather data on things like air or water quality. By doing this, researchers can get a good idea of what the environmental conditions are like and how they might be changing over time. This information is important for making decisions and taking action to protect the environment and public health. For example, in one study, researchers used a simple random sampling technique to collect water samples from different locations in a river. They found that certain areas had higher levels of pollution than others, which helped them identify potential sources of contamination. In another study, scientists used this method to monitor air quality in different neighborhoods. They discovered that some areas had higher levels of pollutants, which led to targeted efforts to reduce emissions and improve public health. These examples show how useful simple random sampling technique is in different areas of research. By making sure that every member of a group has an equal chance of being included in the sample, this method helps researchers get unbiased and reliable results. Now I will start the second topic of random sampling technique, and this second method is stratified random sampling. This is a method used to improve the accuracy of estimates in research studies. The accuracy of an estimate basically relies on how much the study population varies in relation to the characteristics being studied. When there is a less variation in the population, the estimate will be more accurate. To implement stratified random sampling, the researcher first divides the population into groups based on a specific characteristic. The aim is to make each group similar in terms of that characteristic. It is important to choose a characteristic that is easy to identify in the population, such as gender rather than age, income, or attitude. Additionally, the chosen characteristic should be related to the main variable being studied. Once the population is divided into these groups, the researcher selects a certain number of individuals from each group using a simple random sampling technique. This ensures that the sample accurately represents the entire population. By selecting individuals from each group, the researcher can capture the diversity within the population and account for any potential biases that may arise if only one group was selected. Types of stratified random sampling. This is a method that is used in research to ensure that a representative sample is chosen from a large population. There are two types of stratified random sampling. One is proportionate and the second one is disproportionate. In proportionate stratified sampling, the number of elements chosen from each group is based on its proportion in the overall population. This means that larger groups will have more representatives in the sample, while smaller groups will have fewer representatives. On the other hand, in disproportionate stratified sampling, the size of the group is not taken into account when determining the number of representatives. This means that even if a group is small, it may still have a large number of representatives in the sample. For example, let us say we want to conduct a survey on the favorite ice cream flavors among students in a school. The school has three grade levels: junior, middle, and senior. In proportionate stratified sampling, we would choose a certain number of students from each grade level based on the proportion of students in each grade level. So, if there are twice as many seniors as middle, we would choose twice as many seniors for our sample. This ensures that each grade level is represented fairly in the sample. On the other hand, in disproportionate stratified sampling, the size of the group is not taken into account. So, even if there are only a few juniors in the school, we may still choose a large number of juniors for our sample. This can be useful in situations where we want to focus on specific groups or subgroups within the population. For example, if we want to study the opinions of minority groups, we may choose a disproportionate number of representatives from those groups to ensure their voices are heard. A stratified random sample is a method used when you don't have a complete list of all the individuals or items in a population. It is more accurate than simply selecting random samples because it allows for more precise results. For instance, let us say we want to study undergraduate students at the Open University in our country. Instead of randomly selecting students, we can divide them into different groups based on factors such as gender, region, and employment status. These groups are known as strata. From each stratum, you can then choose a specific number of students, such as 50, to be part of the sample. There are cases where it may not be possible to divide the groups before collecting data. In these situations, you can first select a random sample and then divide the units into groups afterwards. This approach can be effective if you have a sufficiently large sample size, such as more than 20 individuals in each group. By using this method, you can ensure that your sample represents the diversity within the population accurately. Stratified random sampling is particularly useful when studying large populations with diverse characteristics. It allows researchers to obtain a representative sample by ensuring that each subgroup within the population is adequately represented. This method helps to minimize bias and increase the reliability of the findings. By dividing the population into strata and selecting samples from each stratum, researchers can capture the variations and nuances present within the larger population. This stratifying is a process in this sampling method. So, when stratifying or dividing data, it is important to approach the process with care and precision because the success of this technique based on effective stratification. And there are several key points to consider when undertaking this task of stratifying. The several steps that need to be followed are: the first step is to identify the different groups or categories within the population being studied, such as age groups, income levels, or geographical locations. Once these groups are determined, the population needs to be divided into separate strata. After the strata have been established, each individual or item in the population must be assigned to the appropriate strata. This ensures that everyone and everything is included in the sample. Additionally, each person or thing within each stratum needs to be given a number which will aid in the random selection process later on. The next step involves determining the desired sample size. Depending on whether proportionate or disproportionate random sampling is being used, different procedures must be followed. For example, if researchers want to use proportionate sampling, then researchers must divide the population into different groups called strata based on shared characteristics such as gender, age, or income. The goal is to ensure that the sample reflects the correct proportions of each subgroup in the population. This method is commonly used in studies that involve polling population demographics or examining the income of different populations. Proportionate sampling is also useful when time and budget constraints are a factor, as it is fast and cheaper than other sampling methods. On the other hand, disproportionate sampling is used when studying underrepresented groups. In this method, the sample population is not proportional to the distribution within the population of the interest. Researchers randomly choose members from each subgroup, allowing for inclusion of minority subsets that may have a low sample size. Disproportionate sampling can increase precision in some cases, but it may also reduce precision. So, to obtain unbiased estimates, surveys using disproportionate sampling need to utilize survey weights. Once the number of individuals or items to be selected from each category has been decided, the process moves on to simple random sampling. This entails randomly selecting individuals or items from each category until the desired sample size is reached. In stratified random sampling, we select sample to represent the whole population, and there are three ways to allocate samples in this type of sampling. The first way is called equal allocation. This means that each stratum or subgroup within the population contributes the same number of sampling elements to the population. For example, if there are three strata, one third of the sample would be selected from each stratum. Equal allocation is used when the strata have equal populations. The second way is called proportional allocation. In this method, each stratum contributes a number of sampling elements that is proportional to its size in the population. So, the larger the stratum, the more members it contributes to the sample. The sampling fraction or the proportion of the population being sampled remains constant. The third way is called optimum allocation. This method takes into account both the size of the stratum and the variability of the dependent variable within the stratum. Larger strata and strata with greater variability will have larger contributions to the sample. However, optimum allocation is not commonly used because it requires good estimates of the population variability of the dependent variable, which are usually not available before the sample is selected. Stratified random sampling is a very important tool when studying a group without a complete list of its contents. This method offers various advantages or benefits. Firstly, by sampling from different subgroups within the larger group, it ensures that each subgroup is represented in the sample. This allows for more accurate and comprehensive analysis. Additionally, since independent samples are chosen from each subgroup, different sampling methods can be employed for each, enhancing flexibility and precision. Moreover, the likelihood of errors in the sample is significantly reduced due to the representation of each group. Another advantage of stratified random sampling is its ability to select samples from similar or identical groups. This facilitates comparisons with other groups and enables the generation of meaningful conclusions. Furthermore, by ensuring proportional representation of each group, the risk of bias or unfairness in the sample is minimized. This promotes fairness and validity in the findings. So, overall, we can say that stratified random sampling proves to be an effective and reliable method for conducting research and drawing accurate conclusions. This method also has certain limitations. And one limitation or drawback of this method is the significant investment of time and money required for implementation of this method. Because dividing the population into groups and then selecting samples from each group requires careful planning and resources, this can be a lengthy and costly process, especially when dealing with large populations. Additionally, choosing the right characteristics for stratification can be challenging. Researchers need to carefully consider which variables to use in order to accurately divide the population. This may require prior knowledge or research to determine the most appropriate variables. Despite these challenges, the stratified random sampling method remains a valuable tool in research. It allows researchers to obtain a more accurate representation of the population, which enhances the reliability and validity of their findings. By ensuring that each group within the population is adequately represented in the sample, this method reduces the risk of bias and increases the generalizability of the results. However, it is important to note that the success of this method relies heavily on the proper division of the sample size among the different groups. If the sample sizes are not proportionate to the population, the accuracy of the representation may be compromised. Therefore, careful consideration and planning are necessary to ensure the effectiveness of the stratified random sampling method. This is all for today. Thank you.